You just check that everything is live and kicking. Right, so we're live, guys.
Oh, about bloody time. I've been waiting for ages.
Welcome to episode 59.
Is it already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're 10 episodes away from 69, which is sort of like a
10 episodes.
holy grail number.
How did we celebrate episode 69? We've only got 10 weeks to think about this.
Yeah.
2.5 months. Come on. That's not a lot of time in our organization skills.
Yeah.
Come on, Lester. We're an awesome organizers. I mean,
I mean the Coke test. You've got to talk about it for years before we actually do it.
We were just mentally preparing ourselves. It's like we have to hype ourselves up for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just like we have to hype ourselves up for Andrew bungee jumping.
Well, we don't have to hype.
I pretend I didn't hear that.
To get the most out of it, we're going to have to psych ourselves up as well, just to cover all eventualities.
Cheers.
Right, well, hello, guys. How's your week been?
Yeah, not too bad in yours.
Well, it's fairly quiet here. Nothing much going on.
It's,
Just a little branding there.
Yeah, that's a big insinuation. It's like I think our week has been pretty difficult.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, like lockdown took on a new meaning this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to after. Okay, so we are talking about the unrest that we've had here in South Africa over the last week.
6 days, yeah.
Yeah, which just came out of nowhere and was mobilized under the pretense that it was a protest to get Jacob Zuma released from prison, which doesn't make sense because A, the guy's a criminal, and B, why would you want a guy that's stolen money from you, really? Say you, those are the people that were protesting. I mean, why would you be protesting to get that guy out of jail? But I suppose it's coming out that it's there. There were other motivations, political motivations around it.
There's how it was portrayed in the news earlier in the week is now suddenly starting to change from where I'm sitting.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, tell us what you saw and heard in the UK.
Well, with all the other activities in the world and COVID and all that, it hasn't really featured in the news until like Wednesday, Thursday. And it's still not a major news item for us. But I'm just looking at the news today. Cyril Ramaphosa suggesting that the riots were fairly well planned and coordinated.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different ballgame to a reaction to something that's happened. Because rioting's not new. We had riots in London where they burnt down buildings and people got hurt. And, we've had riots in the US when there was other things going on there. Rioting is not it's an exceptional thing, but it's not a complete surprise when it does happen.
Yeah.
There's not mitigating factors that spark and cause fire to spread. So, but if it's coordinated for other reasons than what is obvious, that's a whole different news story. So you tell me, guys, you're closer to the action. What do you see there, or is there propaganda going on?
Well, for me, I mean, I before all of this stuff happened, I don't really listen and watch the news on a regular basis because there's it just goes through in cycles and it just winds me up to no end. So I didn't really pay too much attention, other than a couple of things that I saw coming through on Twitter and that kind of stuff, on my push notifications on the headlines from Eyewitness News. I just saw shops getting vandalized. I just saw some of the KZN residents fighting back or protecting themselves or protecting their things. I saw a couple of funny TikToks where one of the, I don't know if you saw this, but when one of the ShopRite or Checkers or whatever, what they did is they took the vegetable oil and they put it at the front of their shop. So when the guys tried to come and raid it, they couldn't get in because they were slipping on the
They couldn't
on
get to
oil.
the shop.
They couldn't get to the shop. So I've seen some funny things and I've seen some really serious
Sad
things
things.
where guys' shops have been totally vandalized, ripped to pieces. Not only the big guys, but also the small businesses and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's like at a time when people don't need it because you're already reeling with the sort of lockdown, the downturn in the economy because of the COVID thing and all that kind of thing. I mean, it's, so, yeah. I mean, I didn't dive deep into it, but, I just caught the headlines.
Sure. There seems to be a lot of propaganda going on.
Right.
And sure, I think once you start the wave of rioting and looting, people, because of the situation of high unemployment and frustrations, it quickly fuels that fire, and there's a lot of support that happens, and there's a lot of opportunities as well. This is not a South African thing; it happens all over the world. My concern is more, hang on, was this something deliberately coordinated and planned, and then we're just waiting for an excuse to implement this kind of thing?
There is no way, like in my opinion, right? There's no way that hundreds and thousands of people wake up one morning and get the same idea and go to the same shop or to the same area and start basically, coordinate assault. But besides that, like looting and rioting happens quite often as a form of protest or as a part of protest action, right? But the burning down and destruction of infrastructure doesn't really,
Yeah.
No.
it doesn't really,
No.
right? So, what was different about this time is that there was real intent to destroy, and set everything on fire. And I think one of the rationales was to put, you can call them ordinary people, you can call them looters, you can call them people who are participating in the theft, under under basically the fog of the whole thing. I think there was a deliberate intention to for the security forces to open up fire and kill quite a few people, which would start even a broader discontent throughout the entire country. So I think the situation was set up. I'm glad it didn't go all the way. It's obviously extremely sad that many businesses, many lives were affected, lives were lost, but it could have been so much worse. I mean,
Do you think
imagine
it's over?
for the time being, yeah.
Well, they say that they've got it under control. Who knows? I mean, they've mobilized the SANDF, so whatever that means.
It's a show of force just to calm things down.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, you've got to restore law and order. Otherwise, this just goes on and on and on. It spirals out of control. I mean, one of the good things that I'm hearing from other people is that communities are now getting together across the racial and tribal divides. They're getting together as a community to look after themselves.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. So,
And
you
that's
might
great.
find...
I mean, the unity that comes out of this, and it's not one area. This is happening all over the place. So, this is the Rainbow Nation that was forecast many years ago.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I saw a couple of tweets from, let's say, the previously disadvantaged community saying that, listen, even under the old government, we were poor, but we never resorted to theft to survive.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's a generalization. It's one person or a couple of people that are tweeting that. But what I'm saying is it's coming from that community. The kind of people that are saying they don't understand why this is happening, because even when they were poor under the previous government, You know, they never resorted to, you know, there were protests back then, but they never resulted in looting like that. So and it's just criminality, really. It's not. I mean, if you've got a,
I would put it in a different way, right?
Yeah.
It's like I could understand on a pure human level, right? If like shops were looted and the only thing that was taken was food items, right?
fair enough.
I would understand
Absolutely.
that. I would totally understand that, you know, because it's like this is a lot of very poor and, you know, historically disadvantaged people that, you know, right now job opportunities are extremely scarce, struggling to like just physically survive, get food on the table, very basic needs. I could understand that, but it's like to the large extent, the food items were taken, right? But to the large extent, like everything was taken, and that's just pure greed.
Like you're talking about electronics and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, everything.
See, they might
electronics, like,
argue and say, well, they're taking electronics because they would be able to resell them and earn money. You know, like instead of taking food. I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying that they could, you know, argue.
Who are you going to
Oh,
resell
there's
it to?
opportunists, right? If there's mayhem and carnage and the looting has already started, and you're going to go, well, hello,
Yeah.
only 6 months from Christmas, let's go shopping.
there was an article that, well, not an article, but yeah, there was an article that one of the chief executive officers of some like wealth management fund got busted because he got filmed in one of the, I'm not sure which shop or store it was, but he was filmed stealing like a stove, a braai stand, and a few other things. And the dude's number plate, and he is clearly visible in the video. And people obviously, like, when they saw it, they identified him. And then, obviously, the police can trace who's the owner of that vehicle. You know?
Was this the guy trying to get the TV into the?
No.
there was another one.
The guy trying to get a TV was relatively smart. He took the number plate of his vehicle.
I mean, it's not really funny, but I always, when there's these lootings and riots that happen around the world over the years, there's always some guy that tries to steal a fridge freezer. And it's
Yeah.
massive. It's not like a quick grab of, light items that you can still be agile and mobile and get away. No, you're moving slow on a big object. It's cumbersome. You can't get away easily. I mean, what are you thinking?
But
Yeah.
it's greed. Come on, it's greed because like you're taking actually literally more than you can carry.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not cash and carry. It's fridge and carry. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
It's just fridge.
Yeah. And it's not carry. Yeah. Definitely not carry. I mean, there were some videos of guys where it's like super orchestrated. 4 guys get into a shop, take the electronics out. Guy number 5 pulls up in a pickup.
Yeah.
Pile everything onto the back there.
The guys had a plan, but like
Yeah.
hypothetically, those were just basically people executing the action, right? I'm really interested who are the people who are standing behind this, because as I said, it's highly unlikely that you're gonna get hundreds and thousands of people, right, getting the same idea and going to the same location or in different locations but doing exactly the same thing. You know, it's like you need some level of organization. And I mean, the intent was pretty clear. The intent was pretty much to destabilize the whole country. I'm not sure what the end game was, and that's an interesting point for me.
Are we waiting to see the end game still?
I'm not sure if that was it, if that was just a message in terms of, don't go after certain people, and or alternatively, there's going to be serious consequences, or it was a genuine attempt to reshuffle, our political landscape and undermine the whole premise of the democracy.
I think that's had the opposite effect of what they're trying to do. Then I'm assuming it's more the far left, far right. I can't remember which one we're doing here anymore.
But think about it, right?
I'm just thinking Julius Malema must have thought this is great, and then come Friday, this is now starting to backfire.
Well, he did try to put some oil into the burning fire by trying to stoke, tensions between different communities and different ethnicities.
Yeah.
He did try actively to do that, and he was temporarily banned on Twitter, and then they reopened his account. But yeah, he was one of the few political. I think he's the only one from, let's just say, outside of the ANC who tried to actually actively stoke the tension. There was even a comment from him saying that, like, if you guys send in the army, we're gonna send in the fighters on the streets to support these guys. And I'm like, what are you trying to do, man?
How do you think this is going to end?
Yeah, like, what are you trying to do? It's like you're basically making a really bad situation even worse. Like, if you're not willing to be part of the solution, just take a chill pill, sit down, and just have some chamomile tea, man.
So do you think a guy like Julius Malema, he just climbs on the bandwagon of anything
Yeah.
that's going?
Absolutely.
He's just constantly looking for something to use as a
Yeah,
for
for
leverage
sure.
or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Plus, he's trying to, like, obviously play to his audience. And,
Yeah.
His audience are basically people who were marginalized and disadvantaged and buy into his whole narrative. So that's basically it. But luckily he was like one of the few. The rest of the political parties and forces actually took a reasonable approach and tried to be like more of a part of a solution than a part of a problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's good though. It's good. But no, I mean, the one thing that always concerns me about these kind of things, and I saw this happening on our sort of WhatsApp group in our area, in our suburbs, is like fake news. Someone hearing a story, and this story propagating across all the different WhatsApp groups and whatever, photos or videos that either weren't of the current situation, had come from another country, maybe in some cases, a photograph that's been photoshopped or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, so even if this thing was orchestrated or whatever, the people that are controlling the situation or making things happen, they could have all these resources at their disposal and start sending out all this kind of stuff to fuel the sort of like, because I mean, there was panic amongst residents and that kind of stuff because, they heard all these stories that, these shops are getting closed and the guys are on their way and they're marching from here to there. Then you're seeing all these photos and videos, which might not have even been part of the actual thing that, I mean, so how do we going forward make sure that we don't get sucked into fake news? How do we verify the stuff? It's very difficult, especially with some people that are doing their reface thing and posting it.
People grab onto things that they can relate to or they think is real, and they're not looking for the detail. They're grabbing whatever's coming across. Social media is not going to help us on this front.
Yeah. No.
But I mean, do you think like technology is like, in the beginning they're using this technology to propagate this stuff and Photoshop stuff and reface stuff or whatever. But I mean, do you think that technology will be also the thing that helps us filter that stuff out as well?
I think
that content.
I think it's going to be more prominent, in the future, and it's going to be a lot harder to distinguish, fake news from the actual true story, right? And like my modulus of operandi, like for example, say in this situation, right, over the last 6 days, is like I'm gonna just check the the sources that I trust. Like I trust my basically security company, right? I trust the official SAPS briefs, although they might come late, but they're still fairly factual, everything else that you see on social media can.
Yeah, that's quite key because they're not going to have emotion in their statements. It
No.
is fact. Whereas if you're going to get something that's broadcast as a news item, it's going to have emotion in it. It's going to have views. It's going to be portrayed in the way they want it to be portrayed for sensationalism or I'm just thinking back to when there was all those, and it's still ongoing, the demonstrations in the US with around Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this incident where there was this rally and this Uber driver somehow ended up in the middle of this rally, and one of the people took an AK-47 out to shoot him, and he defended himself, and it was a right cock up of a story, But so depending on which side you're on, the various news channels that covered this footage, because there is footage of it, they edited the footage just to have more of a bearing on their positioning on the story because of what that news channel is associated with or what they want to tell as a story. They won't tell both sides. They'll tell the side that they want, and they'll sensationalize it. And that is where we are in the world today. All the news agencies are going to do that. It's very rare for somebody to have a neutral view.
I don't even bother with the news agencies anymore, because it's just the same story being recycled all the time.
But you don't. But what about the rest of the population?
Yeah, that's true. That's a valid point. But it's if you look at the news coverage, it's just the same story being recycled all the time. And it's it's just smoke, right? So I want to see where the fire is coming from. I want to know what is actually happening. And I have to give my security company, I'm sure most of the service providers were doing the same thing during this time. They gave a detailed brief, literally just a one-page email about what's happening and what's being done to contain the situation twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And that was that was great because it's factual. This is what's happening. This is what's happening in this area. This is what we're doing to make sure that everyone's okay. This is where the problems are, and this is what's being done to contain those problems. Very factual, very to the point. Excellent. I actually sent them a message on our WhatsApp group saying, the guys, you're doing a great job in terms of comms and making sure that the comms are streamlined and well structured, and there's no unnecessary fluff in terms of, oh no, this guy said this or this guy said that.
You're in a fortunate position, right?
Yeah.
What if people don't have access to a security company?
Yeah, then SAPs. But SAPs
There's still a distrust of the SAPs in some parts of the country. So who do they believe? They can only get misinformation or fake news.
For example, our SAP station gave a one-page PowerPoint slide on terms of what's being done. Although it was late, it was 24 hours late, but at least it was something, in terms of this is what we're doing. Please don't do crazy stuff. Just what we need everyone to do is just take a chill pill and let us do our job. Fair,
Yeah. True. Yeah. So
how do you stop community vigilantism, if that's a word? I'm just thinking more down on the south coast, around the greater Durban area, where communities were getting together, going, we've got to protect ourselves now.
What did you hear? Did you hear that Cyril commended these people for defending their stuff?
Yeah. But
thank you. We'll take that as a plus.
So what they go and all gather together as a community? Great, that's good. Oh, hang on, we're blocking off our whole village, our town, or whatever it is, all access roads. If you're going to come our way, you're going to have to get through this barricade. Hang on, how far do we go with this?
Yeah, true. But I mean, I suppose, it might. Let's say it wasn't the residents. Let's say it was the private security companies that were doing that. I mean, is that not what we would hope that our private security companies would do on our behalf? We're paying them.
You obviously, they're on your side, so you're going to support that.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
right?
How do the police
do they have the
that?
jurisdiction to do that?
Well,
what
this
gives
is the
them
thing.
The right?
Well, I mean, no, but think about it this way. We live in South Africa where the armed response often chase down suspected burglars,
Yeah.
suspected hijackers and whatever, and
Apprehend them.
apprehend, shoot. I mean,
That was the case when I worked for an armed response company when I was 19.
what 30 years
30
ago.
years ago. That was the status quo.
Yeah.
Then.
No, but what I'm saying is that if it was going to be an issue, from a South Africa police point of view, they would have already dealt with the situation and said, sorry, you're not allowed to do that. If you know what I mean? So either they've created a situation where, these guys do have a little bit of, what's the right word? License to do it in a way.
So,
I don't know.
So the government tries to basically streamline that type of approach through the community policing forums, which is linked to SAPS.
Yeah.
So on the first day, when the trouble started in Gauteng, I saw the notices come up across pretty much all the CPF forums, basically just requesting members to get together and basically activate all the resources to contain the situation.
Yeah.
Those structures are really well developed in some areas and really not well developed in others, right? So it depends on the level of organization, on the type of suburb that you're staying in. But what you were seeing in KZN, many suburbs that's like banded together, and they were showing on TV. Those were not like wealthy suburbs, right? Or even like middle class suburbs. Those guys might not even have access to a private security provider or several private security providers that can help them with that. Some, like in many cases, your only line of defense is basically your neighbor and people that live down the street from you.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do to make
Protect
sure that,
I mean, especially you're seeing them vandalizing shops and all that kind of stuff. So you know what they're capable of doing. Yeah, it's true. Anyway, moving along to the other reason why we locked down was COVID. This week we were allowed to register to be vaccinated if you're over 35. So I've registered. Oleg's registered.
Hey, you should have been vaccinated long time ago.
Well, you too, dude. Why? Are you just trying to make some comment about my age?
I'm not throwing stones at glass houses on this stage.
Yeah. Anyway, so got to try and find a place and a slot to go get my first jab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one are you getting?
What do you mean? What type of vaccine?
Yeah.
What flavor?
I don't
Which
really
flavour?
think you have a choice, dude. Wherever you go, if you take whatever they got.
Okay.
I
Do you want the
understand.
Chinese, the Russian, AstraZeneca, Pfizer? What do you want?
Well, yeah. Well, I suppose Pfizer is the flavor of the day at the moment.
J&J.
Yeah, well, J&J, but the problem is that it's in short supply. So
Yeah.
how do you find out which vaccine is being administered from which area, which facility? I don't know.
I think the one that you're going to go to is definitely going to have the Chinese one.
Well, here's the question.
I'm joking. Like, personally, right, I really don't care which vaccine I'm going to get. Like,
As long as it's the COVID vaccine
as
and
long
it
as
works.
it's a COVID vaccine and they don't accidentally...
It's not a yellow fever jab.
It's not a yellow fever jab. It's like, I'd be really bleak if, like, I get vaccinated, but with the wrong stuff. But I'm sure that's not going to happen,
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna try and see if I can go either tomorrow.
You can't.
Why?
closed.
It was closed.
Yeah.
Even the hospitals.
Yeah.
Why?
They don't do vaccinations during the weekend, dude. I don't think so. But, like, yeah.
I think that's when they want to do it, but they're not just
They're doing it
locking
during the
down
week.
because of
Okay.
the other unrest.
Because I'm staying next to the hospital, and I think tomorrow is closed. But
Okay.
I'll double check and let you know, because I was planning to go tomorrow.
Yeah. Because I know some of the pharmacies are doing it as well. Clicks,
Yeah,
if they've got stock.
but only specific clicks. Like,
Yeah, the clicks at Brightwater
Cresta.
Commons.
And
No, the one at Crest is doing it, but
Yeah.
they're out of stock. Discam at Crest is not doing it. But the clicks at
Brightwater Commons. Yeah.
What's it? Ferndale on Republic or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing it. But I don't know. I'll just pop in there and just have a chat and see what the 411 is.
So Monday, all our restrictions get lifted in England. Not the same necessarily in Scotland and Wales, although they have lifted by and large. So we effectively are back to normal on Monday.
Yeah, well, I was watching Wimbledon last weekend, the finals, and very, very few people were wearing masks. Only the sort of like the staff.
Yeah.
Were,
well, those that support bubbles, yes.
Yeah.
But it was one of those events, I think that was a test event, like the football was last weekend.
Yeah.
Where we started bringing more and more people into the stands and monitoring, and because there's a lot of track and trace happening around that. So they're monitoring the outbreaks and what happens.
Yeah.
And so we've been increasing people. So Wimbledon is one of those events that there's also a test event to see what happens. But yeah, Monday. No more face masks, social distancing.
Yeah.
They recommend that you kind of take precautions, but there's nothing mandatory. There's no limit on people gatherings. This is it. Pandemic's over.
Yay, baby.
Okay, and I'm going to say yesterday we had 51,000 new cases of COVID, and this is expected to go to 100,000 a day next month.
That is insane.
Oh, my word.
That is insane.
But I mean, the assumption is that these people that get it aren't really going to get that sick.
Well, friends of mine who've been double vaccinated had COVID this week. They still got ill, had to take a few days off work. They're not hospitalized, and I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
We were worried about people who are going to get critically ill and overwhelm the hospital services. And at the moment, yes, the COVID wards are filling up again. But yesterday we had 49 deaths. Considering we got 50,000 new cases a day, 49 deaths is not a lot.
0.01%.
Yeah, serious and critical conditions, 551. What was the day before? Pretty much the same numbers. I mean, it might fluctuate by 10 or 20 people, but yeah, the rates are increasing, but we're not overwhelming the health service.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah. So maybe there is something, but and I was having this discussion at work this week because we're having people whose kids are at school, and somebody in the kid's class gets tested positive, so therefore the parent and the kid have to then go and self-isolate. So hang on, all these critical facility engineers that we need on site at our facilities now have to self-isolate, and it's hurting us. You know, half of our staff are sitting at home twiddling their thumbs. We can't afford this. So the knock-on effect is, we're getting things back to normal, whatever that is. But we as a company are not changing our measures. We're still going to protect people and have those. We're not rushing back to the office. We're still going to work remotely for those who can. And we're not alone. So I don't know what normal is yet. And I'm sure we'll touch base on this in the coming weeks again.
So
but it's scary. We can't afford people just to be off sick for a few days.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. So there's an interesting observation that I made yesterday during the conversation with my sister. With my sister. It's like, I haven't been sick. I haven't taken any sick leave.
Yeah.
For the last 2 years. Like, because I haven't been sick. I took leave, like, just to mentally relax and, like, just, get away from work and do something else. But I haven't actually taken any sick leave in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, touch wood. Because I haven't been sick either.
I haven't been sick. And that's that is so rare. I've virtually never had that happen. So, like, even after, let's just say we go back to relative normal, I'm still going to wear a mask in public transport. Going through the airports, in the airplane, I'm going to wear a mask because it's like, I don't need this stuff. I remember when I used to travel, I used to get sick so often, and it's mainly from, passing airports, hotels, it's like,
Brothels, Where are you coming into close contact with people all the time?
Don't put your lifestyle on me.
So, I mean, there's an interesting point. I was chatting to someone in Canada the other day, and they were saying that they were talking about vaccine passports. And apparently, to get into a strip club in Toronto, you need to have to produce your vaccine passport to get into the strip club.
Do you get a vaccine passport? Like just start
Yeah,
off
so
with?
basically it's like, I mean, I think we were talking about it last week.
What is it? Like, what is it? Like, is it a piece
Yeah,
of paper?
I suppose, well, Less Than Them said that it's
App.
they've got an electronic thing.
Yeah, they got an app.
Yeah.
They got an app for everything. They got an app for NHI. They got an app for like.
They got an app for an app.
They got an app for an app.
I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But it's a 3D barcode.
Yeah. So what? They can scan it and say,
Yeah.
okay.
It says when I was vaccinated, what flavor.
What flavor? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, but there's an interesting fact. You need a vaccine passport to get into a strip club and
It's
Canada.
becoming a problem here because there is still that portion of the population that don't believe in COVID-19 or the vaccination or anything to do around it. So they're not getting vaccinated.
yeah.
Okay? But the government is pushing that you can't get on a plane unless you've had your shots and have had COVID or something like that. But they're getting to the point of you need this check done for various things. And it's going to spread far and wide into every little thing. So it's going to you can't go to the pub without proving you've had your shot. So it's now going to be against their human rights that they chose not to have a vaccine, but now they're being, excluded from normal life. You can't go to this shop, you can't go to the cinema, you can't do this, that, and the other thing. And they're going to be restricted, and it's a pressure on them to go and get vaccinated, otherwise they can't carry on with life. This is coming. This is already coming. There is already a lot of talk around this.
Isn't that already, in a certain sense of the way? You know, it's like, it's... I mean, there's most likely going to be some room for people who are not vaccinated, like a vaccinated individual traveling from South Africa to UK, right?
Yeah.
They will basically just go through and be fast-tracked, whereas unvaccinated individual will have to quarantine at the quarantine hotel for like a week and stuff like that.
Even if you've been vaccinated, you have to quarantine.
Yeah.
I think you guys,
No, well, that mate of mine who's in Poland.
Yeah.
He's going back to work in the UK.
Yeah.
Soon. He said that when he goes, he has to go into quarantine, and then when he comes back to Poland in December,
he has to quarantine again.
Yeah, but he can isolate at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's changing on a weekly basis.
Is it changing?
I think you said he was coming back in August.
Yeah.
I mean, these the traffic light system that we have, so you can go and have a look on the government website which countries you can go to without quarantine, with quarantine, or
so they're like flashing like this all the time.
Yeah, they review it every week. So
yeah,
I suspect.
By the time he goes, he might not have to do it.
Well, yesterday
I hope
we
so.
put France on our list again. So all these people are.
I'm surprised you don't have France on your list permanently.
No comment.
and you on theirs.
We actually dispatched a guy from the UK to Frankfurt yesterday. So there's a lot of us who need to get over to the continent for work, because I won't go to that. But so we dispatched this guy, and we're kind of having a look to see how it went. So he did say he had 2 hours at Heathrow of queuing and filling in forms and producing evidence, and so all the prerequisites you need to travel are quite a pain in the arse, and it's now an extra schlep in the travel. So I'm yet to hear what happened when he got to the Frankfurt side. I know he got there, but I'll find that out on Monday. But if it's going to be this kind of schlep where you have to get an airport for a short haul trip, if you have to get to the airport 5 hours in advance because of the volume of people that need to process paperwork,
stay at home. Stay at home. Yeah, crazy.
How urgent is this work? Oh, it is quite. So
Yeah.
South Africa, you've gone now into a bit of a lockdown. You're saying, what's your
Well,
numbers?
we had level 4, and then we
Yeah.
had a
Level 4 plus.
and then it was adjusted. Yeah. So, what restaurants are open?
Restaurants
Still no
are open, yeah.
alcohol though.
Still no alcohol, but you can basically go have dinner at the restaurant.
Yeah.
So you're doing about 16,000 new cases a day at the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to your numbers, you just the assumption is people are vaccinated now. They've reduced the measures, and there's a bit of an explosion there, but the deaths are down.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going into school holidays. So I think they're expecting a mass spread while the schools are off their summer break. So by the time they resume, it'll be coming to an end. Everybody's had not just been vaccinated, but also strengthened their resistance by actually having it. And they're just expecting the spread to stop. That's the outlook I have.
Yeah.
I'd rather not get sick. Going back to your point, yeah, I haven't been sick either, other than poxy hay fever. They were talking this morning that it's time they're going to start ramping up the flu vaccination cycle, which they do every year for the elderly and other vulnerables. So they normally do that once a year, but normally it's a top up, right? So obviously flu variants also change and evolve. Because 25,000 people a year die in this country from flu. This is why they're trying to do all this vaccination to protect the vulnerable. Anyway, the point here is, I don't think there were top-ups last year. And because we've not been mixing as we normally do, is the vaccine that we're now going to give out for the flu, is it going to be strong enough? We kind of lost track of what the flu viruses are doing.
But I mean, do you think because of the lockdown and the measures that have been put in place because of COVID, normal traditional seasonal flu has not mutated because of the fact that people haven't been infected by it?
Maybe it's actually thrived in the environment that COVID's been flourishing.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think that if anything, the next flu vaccine doesn't have any very few changes to it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
There we go.
New
Is it going to
updates.
be effective? Well, yeah, time will tell.
Yeah. But I mean, like I know what I'm talking about
Well,
when
yes,
it comes
Dr.
to virology. What?
Dr. Fen on
Dr. Fen.
podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll
like
fake
Dr.
it. I'll
Pepper,
fake it
but
till I
more
make
solid.
it. Okay, I'll fake it till I make it. If you ask me anything, just give me 2 seconds to Google it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Dr. Google. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, I noticed I didn't do a Trumpism last week.
No, we missed out.
Well,
again.
this
we're gonna have to catch up then. Do a couple, please. On this day, according to Trump, last year. On this day last year, according to Trump.
So this is days in quick succession.
Okay.
The first one was, so this was in a press briefing. He said, I'm so young. I can't believe it. I'm the youngest person. I am a young, vibrant man. Okay? Brilliant. Only sort of shit that could come out of his face. All right, next day. Next day, he goes, and this is at a rally. I'm not a vain person.
Me? I'm not a vain person.
Yeah.
But look how young I am.
I'm a young, vibrant man.
man.
No, you're not.
Is that it?
Yeah,
That's it.
I'm
I'll get them
disappointed.
short.
Huh?
I'll get them short.
Oh, you kept them short.
Yeah.
And how? Any interesting stories on history on this day?
Well, actually, today is the National Lottery Day. Fine. National Tattoo Day.
Oh yeah. I wonder how you celebrate that.
Get a tattoo.
By a tattoo of your Lotto numbers. How lame is that?
It's World Emoji Day, but what really grabbed me today is this National Yellow Pig Day. Do you know what National Yellow Pig Day? I had to look this up.
Yeah,
No.
please inform us. Educate us, baby.
It originated in the 1960s. It's got nothing to do with pigs. All right, so basically in the 1960s, when two math students from Princeton spent time obsessing and analyzing the number 17, they went a little crazy and decided to invent the concept of a yellow pig with 17 toes and 17 teeth. Drunken stone students from the 70s, 60s.
Holy
No,
shit.
no. I don't think that was alcohol. I think there was something else.
Now Yellow Pig Day, the 17th of July, is an important part of the academic calendar and is celebrated with cake, carols, and general revelry. All right. This is very much an American thing.
Aren't you missing something out there, like cake? That's cool.
Wait, what, like cookies,
Cookies.
brownies?
Yes, you would think.
Yeah.
All right, so basically the whole thing is the number 17 plays an important role in our lives, and we need to consider these facts. The number 17 is a premium number in the arena of prime numbers, and the first four prime numbers together, and 17 is their sum. Wow, okay. Wow. Coincidence?
Is that why people always...
This is how random their stuff is, right?
Yeah.
The average school bus weighs 17 tons with passengers inside. But hang on, what if you got a few fat, obese kids in it?
Yeah.
17 and a half.
Each of the following words has 17 letters. Interdisciplinary. A word, and these are commonly used words.
Yes, yes.
Okay, telecommunication. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Misinterpretation. Yeah. Commercialization. Yeah. Electrophotometer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I use that all the time.
Exactly.
The atomic number of chlorine is 17. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
They could have chosen any number.
Number, exactly.
Found facts behind it. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, look, oh, yes, and the atomic number of chlorine is 17.
It sounds like you're reading my horoscope there, dude. It
And
could
that
apply
basic
to anyone.
background.
I mean, you
So
could,
many.
yeah. I was having this conversation with my daughter the other day about horoscopes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you could read any horoscope and, match it to your life,
Yeah,
It's a problem.
that's the whole point of being general.
Yeah, generalized, yeah. I was
So
going
here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So they say play number 17 in the lottery
Yeah.
and get 17 tattoos of 17.
Of 17. Well,
We could celebrate all these days in one go. Woo!
well, I mean, it's funny because, 17 is a common number for people to bet on
Is
the
it?
roulette table, yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I never knew.
you
Including myself. 7, 11, 17,
5, 12, 25.
5, 12, 25. Is that yours?
Those are mine. 12 always.
Mine's 7, 11, 17, and 25. Yep. And
Okay, on this
don't forget 0, dude.
I don't forget 0. It always
Yeah.
catches me out.
Yeah. How many times?
17.
Times? 17 times. Shit.
Okay.
Like, you almost think that you're like going into sort of like a Fibonacci kind of discussion about 17. Like 17 is one of those numbers that's...
This is what they were figuring, right? Because even
Yeah.
numbers come up and it's a very organic kind of number. 17 is a random number. It shouldn't add. It should be an anomaly, but it isn't.
But
Oh.
I mean,
17 is prime, right? It's
it's prime. Yeah, prime. And what did you say? It was the sum of the first 4 prime numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Maths. Yeah.
Is it?
But it's amazing how that whole Fibonacci sequence is used. I mean, you find it in nature, but I mean, they even use it on the stock market for predicting trading. Not that I know how to use it on the stock market, but I'm just saying.
And what did Bitcoin lose yesterday? $17. Wow.
$17.
You serious? No, you got to be joking.
17 or
Was it-
17%?
I'm gonna have to check that now.
Yeah, well, I mean, talking about crypto.
What's happening in crypto space?
Well, first, before I go there, I've got a comment on our YouTube, one of our YouTube videos, the one that we did last week about where's my crypto drive.
Yeah.
The guy said, hey, you should be doing more crypto content for South Africans.
Yeah, we should.
That's how I came across your channel. So, okay, note to self, more crypto content relevant to South Africa. Okay, so the crypto market is taking a bit of a knock, eh?
Like across all cryptos.
No, all of them. Yeah. Look, I mean, the interesting thing is that
Maybe this is a good time to buy a graphics card.
yeah,
Secondhand
not
graphics
yet,
card.
not yet. You got to wait because remember, South Africa's always behind the rest of the world. So I would give it another couple of weeks before you buy graphics cards. Only problem is all the new NVIDIA graphics cards that are coming out now,
They're locked.
all nerfed.
Yeah. So
Low
that's why
hash rate.
you have to invest AMD, man. AMD's raw power.
But the problem is that AMD's new cards are also down on hash rate for the price that you have to pay for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it like almost looks like they also made an adjustment
Mm-hmm.
to have their cards with low hash rate for Ethereum. Because their new cards that were replacing, let's say like the 5700 XT was replaced by the 6700 XT.
Yeah.
The 6700 XT's got less hash rate on Ethereum than the 5700 did. And it's almost probably 70% more expensive.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, they do say that in the future, the cards to buy again will be AMD. Because AMD went through a phase that they were making efficient cards. And then NVIDIA came and then they were making efficient cards. And now they've nerfed
It's not unusual in the hardware world.
Yeah.
Do cycling like this.
But I mean, I don't understand. But I don't understand why they're nerfing them now, because Ethereum's theoretically going to go to proof of stake from proof of work early next year.
I can explain this. Right?
Explain it.
So the main market for NVIDIA is not even crypto. It's a gaming market. And that's basically over 37% of the revenue.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I think crypto is like maybe 20,
Right.
but everyone in the gaming market has been complaining about NVIDIA and
What about stock and
about
price?
stock and price.
Okay, but stock and price, I understand that the crypto miners have an impact on that. But I mean, there were other factors that came into it. But my point is, why nerf them 6 months before you won't be using graphics cards for Ethereum? Because they only nerfed for Ethereum, for the algorithm for Ethereum, not the other cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
So the guys are going to still buy the cards to mine other cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Anyway, because Ethereum is going to proof of work early next year.
Yeah.
So why nerf them?
I think even the nerf that they've implemented can be bypassed. I read
Not the new one. The first one, the one that came out on the 3060.
Yeah.
They said that they had nerfed it on the driver as well as on the hardware itself.
Yeah.
But it turned out that they hadn't done the hardware yet. It was only in the driver because they released that dev driver that bypassed the hash rate limiter.
Yeah.
All the new ones now, it's hardware based. So now you can't bypass it.
Yeah. That's bleak.
Yeah.
For the crypto miners.
Well, the thing is that.
But there's going to be a lot of stock now of second-hand cards. I can guarantee you that.
Well, I don't know. Not yet.
Well.
Not yet, because even though the Ethereum price is down and the hash rate is down, the guys are still mining. The next big change is the EIP 1559, which was supposed to come out now in July, but it's been pushed out to August. And then theoretically, they're saying the profitability might drop to half of what it is now. But even at that half, it's still profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the guys aren't going to stop mining. You're not going to see lots of cards hitting the second-hand market just yet. Maybe next year when it goes to proof of work, maybe 2 or 3 months before then, you might see because you see the thing is that Ethereum is notoriously late on their implementations of stuff. So they've been saying that they will be going to proof of work for the last 2 years, right? So they're saying that it's going to happen early next year. Maybe it doesn't. So people are going to hedge their bets for a little while longer until they know that it's confirmed that it's actually going. Then you'll see people start offloading graphics cards. But the reality is that you can still mine other cryptocurrencies.
That's true.
Right.
That's true, yeah.
And after 1559, the Ethereum profitability might be lower than other cryptocurrencies, like Raven, Conflux, and those kind of things. So I don't think the graphics card mining thing's going away. And even though they've nerfed those cards, they've only nerfed them for one algorithm.
Yeah.
Haven't nerfed it for the other algorithms.
Yeah.
So miners are still going to continue buying cards. So NVIDIA hasn't really done anything to the market. Maybe they've stalled it for about a couple of months.
What I'm seeing at the moment is that like on different SA forums, people are trying to offload their 3080s and 3070s at the price that they bought them for.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because people are just going to just wait.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They just wait. Why buy a card now at a high price?
Yeah.
They just wait. Because what will happen is the people won't be able to sell those cards at that price. And then
they'll start competing with the race to the bottom.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
So
we'll see what happens.
So
I mean, I haven't seen the prices dropping yet.
Yeah, I also haven't. Not really. There's been like discounts going at various suppliers for like different cards, but it's not the type of OEMs I would buy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, look, I mean, the thing is when it comes to you're talking about a specific brand. I'm not going to buy pallets. I'd much rather buy
Let's say
a gigabyte or whatever.
Yeah, or on the MSI.
Well, when it comes to mining,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, they talk of what they call the silicon lottery, that you can buy 2 gigabyte cards, and the one will mine much better than the other.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just your luck.
It just depends on the binning of the silicon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So so when it comes to brand of graphics cards,
I think
you buy the cheapest that you can get. Is the bottom line.
Okay.
You want value for money.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway.
Lester looks like we lost Lester down the rabbit hole. Like, every single time we talk about GPUs, we go down this rabbit hole, and we're like, I have to physically stop myself and just like look at Andrew and say, okay, we're going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean,
look, Leicester stuck again.
All our viewers and listeners. I mean, it's good that you guys know your shit about, excuse the language, about your graphics cards and the relevance to the industry and the crypto world. That's great. That's interesting. But when you start comparing specific models, cut there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to start doing that from future. Okay, you guys go the limit.
You don't need to do that.
You can do your jazz hands.
Your face was doing that. Your face was doing that already. So it's like it was necessary.
Yeah.
It is interesting though. It is interesting. But I get why people spend a lot of money on graphics cards. Their processing power and all that on them is awesome. But they're so expensive for what you're getting. And yeah, I can see why there's a second-hand market for it. But when you get into the point where, gee, this thing is costing almost as much as a whole computer, hey, we need to hold back a bit. This has gone too far.
Actually, in some of the cases, like when you look at the upper tier, they will cost more than a new laptop, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, my rationale for actually getting the GPU is that I've recently started playing around with like different machine learning stuff, especially in like an image space, and I'm just trying to learn the tag. But that's basically my rationale. But like, as I'm starting to play with more sophisticated like implementations of like TensorFlow or PyTorch, right? I feel I'm limited by the GPU because at the moment I'm running most of this through my CPU because yeah, it's very tricky to configure like an old gen AMD GPU on these codes.
Yeah, but because the GPU are really suited more to sort of image recognition and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Image processing stuff.
But for example sake, if you take TensorFlow, right? TensorFlow is most likely accounts for like more than 50% of all the machine learning like benchmark and tools and like sample codes that you can try out and see whether you can implement in your space, for example.
Yeah.
Right. But like you need an NVIDIA GPU to run it, right? You can run it through like an open framework on Linux and use an AMD GPU, but it's like so tricky to set up. I was like, I tried and I gave up. I was like, whatever, I'll just run it on the CPU.
Yeah, yeah. I see Lester's going.
So
no, Lester, we'll just chat to you about maybe setting up a data center for us.
It's a good topic for us to cover actually in the future.
Yeah,
there's legs there for us to wade into.
What, machine learning or?
Yeah.
Processing power.
There's a few of those technology kind of concepts that we haven't really delved into, but we'll talk about that outside of this podcast.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we can like we'll use them on the graphics cards when we start talking about machine learning.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have to spend a whole hour on it, but I mean, there are advances on these the more common technology trends that are about now. There are advancements and we do touch on them from time to time. I'm not saying spend a whole hour on it, but it is useful to keep touch with them. But now I'm going to force you off the technology topic. Well,
that's
slightly.
Yeah.
Let's go to the history. What happened on this day? Dun, dun, dun.
The 17th of July. I don't know.
All right. Today,
can you do the song?
July.
Yeah, here we go.
The stealth bomber made.
Go for it, Lester. You're on. You're live.
Fact and fiction section of the program. On this day, the 17th of July, the stealth bomber made its debut in Palmdale, California.
What's this, 19? Did you give it a year?
Which year?
1969.
Was the B-2 Spirit flying?
Oh, is this B-2 Spirit? I thought you were talking about the SR-71.
Not the official stealth bomber, apparently.
Oh, clearly not. So you're talking about the B-2, right? So that's the flying wing, right?
Yeah.
Yep. 83.
82.
I would have said mid-80s as well. Yeah. And actually early 80s because it was kind of secret for a while. It was only in 1989.
Sure.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
1989. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Today, 66 years ago.
66 years ago.
Disneyland opened its doors for the first time. 66 years ago.
1955.
1955. You're good on. You're spot on the numbers today. You should celebrate National Yellow Pig Day.
Woohoo!
All right, birthdays. Today is the birthday of Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, but more importantly, David Hasselhoff.
What?
David Hasselhoff.
The Hoff.
American actor and singer.
Yeah.
I wish I could do the Knight Rider impersonation right now.
No, we need their own Knight Rider soundtrack.
Yeah.
You know the
or
original one?
Baywatch, or
Baywatch.
if you
Baywatch,
just
yeah.
play a clip from, then we pay royalties to him. Hang on, if we play some of his songs.
What is music?
He is quite a big thing in some European countries.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But even in South Africa, I think he was popular.
Yeah,
it's a
I've seen him in real life more than once.
On stage singing.
No, he, like back in the day when Knight Rider was a thing, he came to South Africa. He did one of those tours.
The promos. Yeah.
Promos. Yeah, they even did one with Airwolf, back in the day, and they had the actual helicopter from the series.
I seem
you know it's
I
the Bell.
remember this.
It's a Bell.
'Cause
It was
when
in Witbank.
They
Yeah.
this rings a bell. And not for that reason, but because they brought him on and interviewed him on, I don't know, some TV channel, and he was absolutely wasted.
Yeah, he was a bit of
It's
an
like,
alky. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Shame, man. The guy had issues there. No, but seriously, they brought the actual helicopter to South Africa.
I've seen the helicopter. This is ringing a bell.
Yeah.
Where was it?
It was in
Witbank.
Witbank.
It might have been Whitbank.
It landed there in the parking lots at Klipfontein, at the Checkers.
At the Checkers,
Which
might have been looted by now.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
there wasn't much thing going on in Mpumalanga.
No, back in the 80s. Back in the 80s. Jeez, dude,
Looting's not a new thing, right? It's been around for a while.
Do you remember, talking about that, do you remember the time that there was that bomb that went off in the middle of Witbank, downtown Witbank?
Yeah.
Outside it was the Trust Bank
Yes.
bank, whatever. Yeah. There was a bombing in Witbank.
Were you with me in our matric year when we went to Pretoria Zoo? And when we got off the bus,
Yes, remember there was that guy running around the street. Wasn't he bombed something and then they locked us down?
they locked us down. Yeah, there
that
was
was-
a bomb that went off a few
that was-
hundred meters down the road.
But was that our matric year or was that not 1988?
No, it was matric, and I
Is it? Okay.
why, when we were 18 years old, are we going to the zoo as a group? I think it's because there was nothing going on in Witbank. We were like, we get to go on a bus to the city to go and do something. We're there.
Yeah, no, it must have been our matric year because I do remember we were at the zoo, and then I think when we were leaving, we weren't, we had to take a detour or something like that. They'd locked down the main road. It was like 2 streets or something from the zoo where they had that. Yeah, wasn't it at the Civic Centre or something that they? Anyway, I can't remember. Yeah, it's
It
vague.
remind me because actually the 7/7 London bombings, they obviously we did a remembrance for that 10 days ago.
Okay.
No, it was a story I was telling somebody that my whole life I'd keep missing bombs, and actually I'm starting to think, am I the target? No, actually, if you want to be safe, you got to hang in my shadow because I've been down this road, and it's even my cousins in my distant cousins in years gone by, they missed a bomb in a pub in the UK. I just missed for various reasons. We keep not being affected by these terrorist bombings. So I thought, in 7/7, I should have been on one of the trains in London, but it was a sunny day. I decided to walk, and it was that carriage that went. It's that kind of near miss that I keep
insane.
having.
That is insane.
Yeah,
Jeez.
but it's not just happened once. It's like if it's all the if buts. If somebody hadn't needed to go to the toilet just before we left and delayed our departure, then
We would have been
been there exactly the same, at that time.
It's crazy, yeah.
There's always those little
Crazy.
if but things.
Mm.
There was another IRA bomb in London. Well, a couple I've missed over
Jeez.
my life.
Yeah, that's hectic. That's hectic.
But listen, talking about that, I mean, have you?
saved by your weak bladder? Like
Yeah, weak bladder. Thank God for my weak bladder. Yeah, I mean, without going down a rabbit hole of this kind of thing, but have you ever had this thing where an author writes a fictional book about an event, and a year later or 2 years later,
It happens.
something happens. Yeah.
Exactly like it was in the book.
Well,
that,
I mean,
that
they're
happened
two.
quite
They're
a few
two.
times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's one instance that I know of for sure. There's an author called Daniel Silver, and he writes. He's like character. He's got this like Israeli Secret Service character who his cover job is a art restorer, and he wrote this story about a terrorist bombing in Paris. Okay, and the month that his book was supposed to be released, they had those terrorist bombings in Paris.
Yeah, that's insane. Dude.
So he actually decided not to release his book because he just thought it was inappropriate to release his. Look, it hadn't even come out yet,
Yeah.
but he had written this book on like a terrorist thing, and it happened very much the way that he had described in the book. Very public place, like concert kind of thing, and so on. And so he decided to not release the book, but I think he released it about a year later, on the anniversary or something like that. But I mean, have you ever thought of that? I mean, these guys write these books, and then these things come true, or events similar to what they've described come true.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, there's another
one.
one. There's another one, which is Dion Mayo, who's a South African author.
Yeah.
And he generally writes, his stories are about guys that work in the Hawks,
Yeah.
police guys, and they, investigate these stories and whatever. And a couple of years ago, he wrote a book called Fever, right? Which was, he moved away from his normal characters and whatever, and he wrote this book, and it was completely new characters and all that kind of stuff. And guess what the story was about?
No idea.
Fever. It was about a coronavirus that spread around the world and killed 70% of the population. And the book is about, like, in South Africa. It's based in South Africa. And the story, and then obviously, I won't give it away. How you've what you find out in the end, but effectively, when I first read that book was like 2 years ago, before even this COVID thing, right?
Yeah.
And then I reread it last year during COVID, because I was looking for books to read, so I started rereading some of the books that I'd read already, and I read that one again. But the first time I read it, and they were talking about coronaviruses and all that kind of stuff, it didn't like register in my mind. Now, because we had gone through this whole COVID thing, had this awareness about COVID and coronaviruses and all that kind of stuff. And when I reread that book, it was rather scary when I reread it.
Yeah.
And he had written this book 2 years before.
Do you get quite a few things like?
No, well, look, put it this way. He was effectively what it was a coronavirus
Yeah.
that had infected the population, and 70% of the population died. I mean, that's as close as the parallel is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying is that, like, all of a sudden we were in the middle of that.
Yeah. That's.
And you're reading a book that a guy wrote like 2 years before about this coronavirus that had mutated and killed a large portion of the population. It's freaky. Anyway,
Freaky stuff.
Dusty, you were going to say?
there were those virus and pandemic movies that we were sort of watching on Netflix as soon as we went into lockdown.
Yeah.
Contagion.
And they
Contagion.
hit quite close to home.
Yeah, that's
Some
scary to watch Contagion in the
scary
middle of
truths.
the.
Yeah.
Talking about movies, here's a piece of news for you for this week.
Yeah.
Do you remember the movie G.I. Jane with Demi Moore?
Yeah.
Or Demi?
Demi.
That was 1997, 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This week, the first female to complete the 37-week Navy SEAL course happened.
Oh, wow.
24 years after the movie.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh,
So the
that's
thing was,
interesting.
at the time, the women weren't allowed to even qualify for the
Qualify,
course
yeah.
for many, many years.
Yeah.
So there we
Yeah.
go.
That's hectic, yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking at a picture of this woman, Captain Kristen Griest. Jeez, you wouldn't mess with her, eh? I mean, she looks for us, I'm just saying.
Oh, Lester, don't be like that.
Huh?
Yeah, she
Close
looks
to-
mean. She can do the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
I mean, she's wearing sunglasses, and I can already feel her steering the 1,000-yard stare through my soul.
she's really trying to figure out like 25 different ways how to take you out.
Like, she's looking at you like you're already dead to me. I just haven't picked my option. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what the average salary is for a Navy SEAL?
No idea.
Considering what they do and all the pain and crap they go through. And
Like $60,000.
yeah, it's less. It's like $53,000
Wow.
a year.
Wow. No, thank you.
It's like cannon fodder, hey?
But I mean, I wonder. But surely they get danger pay every time they get deployed,
Okay, 60.
over and above.
$60.
No, I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm just asking. Do they have like a basic, and then every time they get deployed, they get because I mean, I've watched this series called SEAL Team on CBS, and they say in there that, and I mean,
100% factual.
no. Well, I'll tell you what. The interesting thing is that some of
Yeah.
the guys that are act in the series are actually ex-Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
So I would imagine it's pretty close to there is some, obviously there's some dramatization around the kind of
sure.
stuff. But I'm sure, I mean, a lot of those guys, they say that they are advisors, but they also act in the program.
Yeah.
But in there, they say they get danger pay for every time they're deployed.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
But like, look, on the more serious note, I mean, like the motivation for these guys, I'm sure, just to protect the country and, just to make sure that the country is secure. So I think it's a lot of patriotic individuals who feel very
absolutely.
strongly. So it's like
Absolutely.
money is not a really motivation for them. As at least it's not most likely the prime motivation
Yeah.
for them. So I think
War
it's
is not
cool.
glamorous, dude.
Yeah, it's just
But yeah.
somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Anyway,
On that happy note.
on that happy
I
note,
have nothing else.
I'm clear.
I'm
Yeah.
spent.
So are we watching the Formula One tomorrow? Silverstone?
Guys, just for a reference, we just went 17 minutes over the.
It's actually 19, but don't worry.
It's 17. Your watch is
17.
wrong.
Mine says 20, dude.
Okay.
It's
It's
synchronized to the universe. 17. Have you ever looked at your watch and the time is 11:11? Make your wish, dude. Make your wish.
Of the 11th. Of the
11th.
And
Yeah.
then you're like,
Don't-
oh.
Yeah, but don't forget, I was born on the 11th of the 11th, dude.
Yeah.
Checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that happy note, boys.
Yeah, that's the only reason I remember his birthday, because there's a big fanfare in Europe
Yeah.
about
On the
Remembrance Day.
11th.
Yeah.
Like a Remembrance
Poppies.
Day. What was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh yes.
Guys, November
It's
is
the
like
Fate's birthday.
is like such a broke month for me. Like I have so many birthdays of my friends and family that are like in November.
Yeah. Yeah, my month. Yeah. Cool.
It starts on the 5th of November and it ends on the 20th.
I'm having flashbacks to our episode when we were talking about
Remember.
remember the 5th of November.
One
And-
fine night.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Lester telling us about his village burning things.
You guys burn stuff?
Absolutely.
Oh, who's gonna
Being
get lynched this year is the question.
Definitely gonna have it this year. We didn't have it last year, but I think Trump was the year before.
Yeah.
Did you guys burn Trump?
Yeah, I mean probably a life-size one, about 2 stories high. But he's not a vain person, so it's pretty upset.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Catch you next week. Next week's number 60.
Cheers, guys.
Laters.